Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of Worst Case Macchiato. And we are, like last episode, recording in person. And we are fooded up, watered up, and ready to
we're growing.
rumble.
We're growing.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to kick us off?
I can.
All right, cool. Don't screw it up.
Rude. So, on the night of March 11th, 2011, Brittany Norwood and Jayna Murray closed the Lululemon store in Bethesda, Maryland. On their way home, Brittany realized that she forgot her wallet at the store, called Jayna, who had the keys, because she was the key holder, and they both went back to get her wallet. The alarm records did show that the door was unlocked at 10:05 p.m. after it was supposed to be closed. Then, two men wearing dark clothing and ski masks entered the store, attacked them, sexually assaulted them, and left them to die in the store. On March 12th, 2011, so the next morning, a manager arrived to find the door unlocked. Merchandise was strewn across the floor, and mannequins were in complete disarray. The manager could hear a moaning sound from the back of the store, so since she wasn't sure what could be back there, she went outside, grabbed a man that was out there, and asked him to help her search the back. The two of them noticed that there were bloody footprints all throughout the store, and they found Jayna Murray lying in the back hallway face down in a pool of blood, with ligature wounds around her neck. Then they found Brittany Norwood in the bathroom, semi-conscious, with zip ties binding both her wrists and ankles, and she had blood all over her face. Jayna had been savagely attacked, sustaining at least 331 wounds from at least 5 different weapons, including a knife and a hammer, both of which could have been found in the store's lockbox.
What? 100 and how many?
331 wounds.
331 wounds.
At least.
That sounds personal to me.
Yeah. So now that is just the attack, what happened, and when they found them. Police were obviously called naturally, and they got there. So the police initially believed that it was an attack on both the girls, but it quickly became evident that the evidence from the store, and Brittany survived, by the way. The girl that was found in the bathroom, not the 331 wounds girl.
I was going to say, was the 331 wounds one
The girl that was semi-conscious in the bathroom with zip ties on her wrists and ankles, she only had minor injuries, and she was allegedly semi-conscious.
I was right. It was personal.
Yeah. So what happened was the evidence and Brittany's account of events clearly...
Hi, Murph.
Hi, Murph.
Murph, you guys don't know, is
my dad. Murphy is my dad's dog, and she's outside right now. We're in the basement, so she can see us. And then we were tapping on the window earlier to get her attention, so now she knows we're down here.
And she keeps looking at us.
And she keeps looking.
And she's the cutest. And she looks a wannabe poodle right now.
Yeah, poor girl. She's so cute, though. But yeah, so... the police very quickly realized that Brittany's account of events clearly did not match the evidence in the store. So, like I said, Brittany's injuries were relatively minor, appeared to be consistent with self-inflicted wounds, and the blood on her face was dripping down her face, which meant that she was actually sitting up or standing for most of the time that it was wet. Which means
this is the one that was zip tied and in the bathroom.
She's the one that survived.
I guess, yeah.
Right? So she was the one that was found lying in the bathroom. So she clearly wasn't lying for the whole time. And she very clearly wasn't going in and out of consciousness. So it just showed that. The bloody footprints in the store came from 2 pairs of shoes, which was consistent with her story. However, the one set of shoe was a size 14 men's Reebok shoe. And the other was consistent with Brittany's own footprints.
Interesting, because a Reebok size 14 would be very distinctive, and a special make wouldn't When did this happen? What year?
2011.
Okay. Yeah, so back then, like, these were not like a shoe that you could just walk and buy off the shelf. Like, so you'd have to get the store to, like, order that size. Now, like, it's more readily available, but back then, like, I'm assuming it wouldn't have been as readily available. It's just an assumption, again, just...
Well, so that shoe is actually one that was on the shelf in the store.
Wow. Maybe disprove that.
She literally put the shoes on, walked around in them, took them, cleaned them off, put them back on the shelf. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So, and also these footprints were not, they didn't go outside any exits. They were only in the store. So they never walked through any exit doors, and there's two of them, one in the back, one in the front, which means that either the attacker took off the shoes.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Literally. So it's either the attacker literally attacked them, went to the exit door, took off their shoes, and then carried them out the door going barefoot out, or there was still someone in... The attacker was still in the store and never left. So the investigators also found no evidence that either Jayna or Brittany had ever been sexually assaulted, but there were holes that were cut in both of their crotches of their pants to make it look like they had
been sexually assaulted.
Yeah, but they weren't. So there's no evidence. No evidence of of anything actually happening. So the police suspect that she cut a hole in Jayna's crotch purposely. So since this mall in Bethesda is in a strip mall, so it's just all outdoor entrances, and next door to them there's an Apple store. So in that evening, the employee and a manager at the Apple store next door, because they had a shared wall, they heard an altercation through the shared wall the night of the attack. And a surveillance recording in Apple shows that the two Apple workers were standing next to the shared wall listening, and then they eventually walked away, and you could see a security guard just listening to his iPod off to the side. The Apple employee later testified in the trial that she heard women arguing, and she heard one saying, "Talk to me, don't do this, talk to me, what's going on?" Followed by screams, some banging, the sounds of something being dragged, then a weak voice saying, "God help me, please help me." So people literally heard everything going on. The manager also testified that he thought the noise was just drama, quote unquote, just drama.
Just drama.
So that's why they didn't report it or go over there and see what was going on.
This was late at night too, 10 o'clock at night.
Well, 10 o'clock at night, they went back into the store later on. So I'm pretty sure they probably closed around 9:30 because they were both on their way home as they were driving, and then Brittany called Jayna saying that she forgot something and asked her if she can go back to the store so she can get it. So because they were both on their way home. Yeah. So the police also found blood in Jayna's car. Jayna's the girl that died. Mm-hmm. And it was also not found in the parking lot of the Lululemon. It was found in a farmer's market 3 blocks away.
What was found, sorry?
Jayna's car that had blood in it.
Dang. Okay.
And the police asked Brittany if she moved Jayna's car. And Brittany said that she did, but she said that the men inside ordered her to and told her that if she didn't come back in 10 minutes, that they would find her and kill her. And she also noted in the police interview that she saw a police officer while she was moving the car, but she didn't talk to them.
Interesting. If you had no involvement, you would think that you would want to be like, my friend's in danger, please help me.
Yeah, or you would drive immediately to a police station.
Yeah. Who cares about 20... if you're longer than 10 minutes, they're clearly not going to kill you because you're not there. Right? Yeah. Anyways, this is not adding up. Yeah, it's nothing she said from the moment that she was found added up at all. Yeah. Clearly. She clearly was not a very good liar. And also, her wanting to make fake footprints, but she only did one set, and she left her own, but she was wearing her shoes. Obviously, they would compare it to both of their shoes just in case. So it was really weird. It was planned, but half planned.
It was very clearly
poorly planned.
Very clearly spur of the moment. So, evidently, since it was so half-assed almost, Brittany was arrested a week after the attack and was officially charged with first-degree murder. During the trial, the police testimonies and statements indicated that on the evening of March 11th, Brittany and Jayna checked each other's bags for unpaid merchandise, which is very common for any retail store. Yeah. But Lululemon, especially because their product is such high value, like, and it's so popular that they can't just allow people to just take whatever they want. Yeah. So they both checked each other's bag that night, and Jayna found a pair of stolen pants in Brittany's bag, called their manager, like their main manager, after Jayna had left the store, to tell her that
Jayna's the one that ended up dying.
Yes.
Okay.
So Jayna found stolen pants in Brittany's bag, and then she called her manager on her way home and said, "Hey, like, look, this is what happened. Nothing happened in the store or whatever, and we just like wanted to leave." Whatever, and the manager said that she would deal with it in the morning when she came in, which this is
usually typical.
Yeah,
pretty typical.
And this is the manager that came in the next morning and found their bodies, right?
Okay.
So the police also did I didn't put it in my notes, but I remember it from like when I heard it from other podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff. She had a history from other jobs that she worked at to steal multiple things from the stores that she's ever worked at. So
she has previous records of being fired for stealing?
I don't know if she was ever fired, or maybe she did it multiple times at this specific location, but I do remember them saying that she had stolen multiple things previously.
Okay.
So, like, this was probably like, okay, like, this time I have to get the manager involved.
Yeah.
Like, it's very possible that could have, and it would have resulted in her probably being fired, right?
Yeah.
So a few minutes after Jayna got off the phone with the manager, she got a call from Brittany, who claimed that she forgot her wallet, wanted to go back to go get it, and since she had the keys, she was asking if she could go back. So Jayna arrived back at the store. Brittany then attacked her, moved her car, then staged the scene to look like a robbery by putting on pairs of men's shoes to track blood across the floor. She tossed mops, brooms, chairs around the store to make it look like a struggle had occurred. Then she cut and stabbed herself before binding her own wrists and ankles with zip ties. And then on January 27th, 2012, so this is basically 8 months after the attack, after 21 minutes of the jury deliberating, Brittany Norwood was officially sentenced to life in prison.
Sorry, they deliberated for 20 minutes.
21 minutes.
Okay.
So 21 minutes of deliberation. She was officially sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder without the possibility of parole.
And she's how old?
That's a very good question. They weren't that old, because this is what they look like at the time of the murder. So they were not old.
So they were probably like...
I'm pretty sure she was like 17.
Like, I would give them older than that. They look older than that to me. I would give them like mid-20s.
Let me see if I can...
Possibly early 30s, just based on that picture alone. Like the one girl looks significantly older than that.
Well, definitely, Jayna was definitely older than that, because she was like a supervisor there.
Yeah.
I just type in how old is, the first one that comes up is how old is Tom Cruise?
Yeah, how old is Tom Cruise?
61 years old.
I know how old Tom Cruise is, because I just watched his new movie.
How old is Brittany? Brittany Broski's 26. I don't know who that is, but just so you know.
That's probably the Brittany in the story. Is there not a Brittany in the story?
She was born in 1982.
Okay. So they'd be like 40 nowadays.
She's 39.
I was going to say, she looks older when you're like 17.
Or she's probably 40, actually, because this is like 82. She'd be 40.
Yeah.
Which means that she was
39 at the time.
27, 28.
Yeah.
When, so yeah, I was definitely off. But you never know nowadays. So, yeah. Just saying. But yeah, so, like, I don't know how old Jayna was. I could look. Yes. That's not really the one that we really cared about. Her age, but...
for sure. I was just curious.
I mean, obviously Jayna matters because Jayna did nothing wrong. But so Jayna was 30 when she was killed.
Okay.
Because she was born in 1980. So yeah. So they were 2 years apart.
Okay.
That's like me killing you.
Rude. Don't kill
10
me.
years from now.
Guys, if in 10 years I'm not here, you know what happened.
So yeah, January 27, 2012, she was officially sentenced to life in prison, first-degree murder without parole. After sentencing, literally within a year and a half of her sentencing, Brittany said that she deserved a new trial because it relied solely on police interviews, during which she claimed she was placed in a small room, given the impression she wasn't free to go, and she wasn't read her Miranda rights. The police disputed this and says she wasn't read her Miranda rights because she wasn't in custody and she was not arrested at the time. Because she was interviewed as a victim. And understanding what was going on. So they're like, we didn't have to read you your Miranda rights at that time because you weren't being arrested.
You were not a suspect at that time. You were just...
You willingly gave up that information. Now, if we found that out later and then we had another interview with you, yes. But you were seen as a victim and you gave us all this information that clearly was not correct. Mm-hmm. Now, if she said she blacked out because of everything that was going on, then that would be more believable, right? But, yeah. And currently, since she was given life without parole, she's currently an inmate at the Maryland Correctional Institute for Women in Jessup, Maryland, USA. And that is the last anyone knows of Jayna.
Nice.
Jayna and Brittany.
Well, I mean, Jayna is 6 feet under somewhere, but...
Yeah. I assume probably still in Bethesda. But yeah, so, like, I heard a lot about this case. Like, I've watched multiple YouTube videos on it. But, like, it was just, like, the amount of effort she went into after thinking about doing this for 30 minutes over a stolen pair of pants. You know,
well, especially, like, over 300 like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, like,
it's nuts.
Like, I'm, like, I don't understand that because it would make more sense if she just, like, slit her throat and whatever, right? Like,
yeah,
stabbing her 331 times. It's clearly personal.
Like also, like, was there not cameras in the store at that time? Like,
there wasn't in this case.
Okay,
but
which obviously she would have known because she worked there, right? So.
Yes. So but they did have an alarm for the door, so they knew if people were going in and out. But this is probably why they were doing so many bag checks all the time, where they did it every night because, like, you have the employees having to check each other's bags just in case. Yeah. So, like, but that's normal. Like, because I know that, like, if you signed up and worked at a retail store now, they can still technically say, like, you are, like, by working here, we can do a check at any time that you work here.
Yeah, like, when I worked retail, like, that wasn't, like, a regular thing, but, like, from time to time, like, they'd be like, we're just gonna check it. And then, like, when there started being some, like, issues of theft, like, obviously it wasn't directly, like, employee related, but just kind of in general, they started checking more frequently.
Well, yeah, like, they're just saying, like, by the way, just so you're aware for any point in the future that if you, that we can ask you to do a bag check anytime that we want. Same thing if you had, like, work lockers, like, like, most places say, like, except my old work, when I worked in the factory with my mom, we had, like, our supervisors had to know our locker combination just in case they needed to be in there for any, like, if anything was suspected that, like, that they can go into our lockers.
Yeah, I don't agree with that because, like, you lock up, like, your personal items and your valuables while you're at work, and, like, if your supervisor knows the code, they can just go in there and take your things. And, like, I wouldn't trust that. I would never give my supervisor my code. I would open it for them if they want to see something, but I'm gonna be there when you.
Well, yeah, like, I think it was, like, in the case of, like, let's just say, like, 'cause I know some people that have worked there, like, have been arrested for, like, DUI and, like, anything like that.
Yeah.
Because it is also a job that doesn't require any schooling, doesn't require even a high school diploma. So like you could get anybody from any walk of life going in there. And if they leave, if they quit or they're fired or whatever, and you need their locker. And instead of breaking it and buying a new one, right?
No, like in that instance, like obviously, like I would have obviously the police would be like whatever.
I'm sure your manager's not randomly open up your locker. Like I'm pretty
honestly, like there's some sketchy managers out there that I would not trust. So
see, we had cameras at our lockers.
We did not, because we also had like a bathroom in there and like.
Well, see, ours are in the hallway near the shipping area.
Ours was like separate, like change rooms and like stuff, and people would change.
That's how ours used to be, but we needed more lockers because there's so many men that like they just don't have enough room in there. So like they needed, so they put them all outside as well, so less people were in the bathroom doing whatever.
Yeah, see, we did not have that, so.
And they wanted the bathrooms to be strictly like change rooms, bathroom, whatever. So. Like, I'm sure that they probably have, like, a thing in place where, you know, you can't just go into your employee's thing. Yeah. You'd have to ask them first. If they say no, and it's, like, something for, like, an illegal thing, then you get a search warrant and you do whatever.
Get a search warrant.
But it is also, like, you don't pay for the locker, which means it's company property. So.
Yeah, but don't go in and take my shit. Just saying.
Yeah, but, I mean, all they would see in my locker is some really smelly running shoes and
it's my gym locker
and like maybe like a few pens that I keep stealing from other machines. So but like everyone on that floor, they kept their, because like we were allowed little, like, because we worked at a box factory, we were able to take little boxes to put our personal things in that we would carry with us, like, to and from the machines. So like people would always like take their phones to the machines, their AirPods and everything like that, put it in their box at the machines. Like they would never leave it in their locker.
Yeah, we weren't allowed anything on the floor.
Well, we technically weren't, but like people did, because like if you ever had like emergency situation, like it's just easier that way. And people don't want to leave their phones in their lockers. People don't want to leave phones in their cars.
Yeah, mine was always in my apron.
And like work. Like in any point of any situation, like your sister, your husband, your wife or whatever, or your mom or your dad could call you with an emergency.
I worked at the coolest retail store you could. Well, it's not really much more retailer, but anyways. Department store, whatever you want to call it.
Every single time something was on sale there, it wasn't available. Every single time I want something there and it's on sale, I go there and they're like, and there's no shelves are stocked with it, and it's the first day of the sale in the morning, and I'll call that, like, it'll say in stock online, and I'll go there and they're like, oh, it must be wrong, we don't have any. And I'm like, oh my god.
So it's funny because that's not true.
Every time I need it though.
No, every time what I'm saying is like if it says it's online in stock, like in stock online, like it should be there, because like it literally updates with when it goes through the point of sale system and someone actually purchases it, like it actually subtracts it off our website.
But they will lie. Like getting my round bungee chair that Dad knows about, literally I would go there and be like, hey, can I get a bungee chair? It says there's one online. And they would say that they don't have one. Right, Dad? Yeah.
Did I not end up getting you that?
No, it was Canadian Tire. Little shits.
Crappy tire.
Yeah, crappy tire. Exactly. It was like, and every single time, like we wanted new, like I was with my mom, but we wanted new camping chairs, like the foldable chairs. Yeah. We'd be like, oh yeah, like it says it's on, like there's like it's on sale or whatever online, and there's like, oh yeah, we have none. It's like, you didn't even check back. Yeah. Like.
Sometimes if customers were being really annoying, I would do that. I'm like, yeah, sorry, no.
Bro, I would walk in, I'd see that there's none there, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm just looking for this bungee chair. I'll show them my phone where it says it's online, and they're like, oh, well, someone could be carrying it around the store. It's like, okay, but, like, not every single time is somebody randomly stored. And, like, pretty much the only people who were buying them were, like, people with little kids. Yeah. And it's... I think like literally 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday.
I think I ended up finally getting you one, did I not?
Yeah, because you were working there. I basically need to befriend everyone who works at Canadian Tire to make sure I can get something.
I worked there, my brother worked there, his ex-girlfriend worked there, like 4 of our friends worked there.
Like, ridiculous. Anyway.
Crew. We were a posse. A crappy
but
tire.
Yeah, it was horrible. Like, it's still horrible.
I will say, honestly, yeah, like, they're stock. Well, if you saw the warehouse...
If you don't see it on the floor, don't even bother.
If you would see Canadian Tire warehouses in the back of the store, you would understand why we don't know what anything is. They are the worst mess in history. Like, you could go into a hoarder house and find something quicker than you'll find something in a Canadian warehouse. Trust me. I don't know why I keep, like, throwing peace signs.
Yeah, piecing, yeah. It's just like, nobody can see you. Like, other than me.
I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways. Alright, are we moving on?
Well, it's weird to record in person, so that's the kicker. What are you covering today?
Alright, I am semi back on track. Both the last episode and this episode were 2 cases that were coming up on our list that I wanted to cover pretty early on in the podcast. So we're going to cover the Luka Magnotta case. So I don't know if you're familiar with that case at all, Vanessa.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. So, also known as the murder of Juan Lin. That's his name. Anyways. Alright, so let's just get into it. So Luka Magnotta was born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman. He was born July 24th, 1982 in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. He was the son of Anna Yorkin and Donald Newman. He was the first of their 3 children. According to him, his mother was obsessed with cleanliness. She would routinely lock her kids out of the house, and she once put her children's pet rabbits out in the cold to freeze to death. His father was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1994, after which he divorced Magnotta's mother, leading Magnotta to move in with his grandmother, Phyllis. Magnotta attended I.E. Weldon Secondary School in Lindsay. Later on, having been diagnosed with schizophrenia, he received a disability allowance. He supplemented that source of income with prostitution. Besides,
Wait, so Luka Magnotta was diagnosed with schizophrenia?
Yes.
I actually don't remember that.
Yeah, I do. Obviously.
Well, yeah, you did the research on it. But like, I
actually did know that because I've watched a lot of like I've watched the documentary that was made for it, like the 3-part documentary made about him, not about the murder, but about other stuff that we're gonna kind of get into, and a lot of like videos on his stuff, and like we talked about it in school a lot. So
yeah, well, like I only obviously I knew about Luka Magnotta, but not like the whole details of the case. But I only listened to a podcast episode of it once, and I was also in the middle of playing a video game while I was listening, so I wasn't 100% wholeheartedly paying attention.
Yeah, so he supplemented that source of income with prostitution. Besides his work as an escort, he began in 2003 to appear in gay pornographic videos.
Wow.
It's weird that your dad's in the other room. Anyways.
So it doesn't matter.
He also worked as a stripper. He appeared as a pinup model in a 2005 issue of Toronto's Fab magazine using the pseudonym Jimmy. Although some media labeled him a porn star after the murder, further reporting showed him that his work as a porn actor had been anything but prolific or high profile, as he had shot less than a dozen videos over a 5-year period. A staff member of the Internet Adult Film Database commented upon reviewing Magnotta's output that not even the porn industry was much interested in him. He did not have much success at modeling either. He legally changed his name from Eric Clinton Kirk Newman to Luka Rocco Magnotta on August 12th of 2006. He declared bankruptcy in 2007, owing $17,000 in various debts. The bankruptcy was fully discharged in December of 2007. He also used many different pseudonyms and names like Vladimir Romanov, Mattia Del Santo, Jimmy, Justin, Angel, Canadian Psycho, Butcher of Montreal, and Kirk Trammell, which is the one I know him by the most, is when he identified himself as Kirk Trammell.
The one that I remember the most is Vladimir.
I don't remember when he was using that pseudonym.
Well, I've heard stories with that name before.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a very Russian-sounding name, so it could have been somebody else too. I don't know, but...
Well, yeah.
So...
Well, it literally makes me think of, the Montreal Canadiens prospect, Roman, they have one of their prospects' last name is Romanov.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, anyways. So, In 2007, he was unsuccessful. So he was trying to kind of make a name for himself. He was an unsuccessful competitor in Out TV's reality series Cover Guy. He had multiple cosmetic surgeries and auditioned for Slice Network television show Plastic Makes Perfect in February of 2008. He created many profiles on different social media and discussion forums over the course of many years to plant different claims about himself. Among other things, he claimed to be a successful model and a prominent porn star. Police stated that he had set up at least 70 Facebook pages and 20 websites under different names. He would use these pages and multiple false online identities to sing his own praises. One page called him the new James Dean. He would attack people he disliked or spread false information about himself as an effort to attract attention. One such rumor emerged in 2007, claiming that he was in a relationship with Karla Homolka, a high-profile Canadian convicted murderer, which Magnotta denied in a subsequent interview with the Toronto Sun. During the murder investigation in 2012, Montreal police announced that the pair had dated, but soon retracted the statement and acknowledged that they had no evidence to corroborate the claim. As with Homolka's relationship, Magnotta repeatedly denied other claims that he had planted as hoaxes and as part of the campaign of cyberstalking against him. The Toronto Sun had interviewed him in 2007 about Homolka rumors, later said that he had found him troubled and that he had suspected that at the time that Magnotta had made up the rumors to gain attention. However, he assumed that Magnotta was, if anything, more of a danger to himself. A trans woman who had briefly dated Magnotta at the time said in 2012 that he was obsessed with becoming famous, and he seemed to perceive Homolka and her accomplice Paul Bernardo as role models. Did you know that?
I knew that he was there was some story between that them two and him, but I had no idea that he was supposedly in a relationship with her.
Yeah.
Also, this guy is definitely like a young playboy.
Are you looking up pictures of him? Yeah.
Some pictures he looks really, really rough, but other pictures.
There's so many pictures where he's looks so dramatically different. It's how is that the same person?
Well, these ones, he looks like he's a really pissed off track star. But there's other ones where he looks like in a movie. I don't remember what the movie's called, but there's a guy that's super rude to everybody all the time. And that's literally what he looks like. He looks like the really mean bad boy. He was really not a good person underneath.
Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into the murder. So Juan Lin, it's Jun, so I'm not sure how to properly pronounce it, so I apologize. Also known as Justin Lin, which is what I'm going to refer to him as because that's much easier to say, was born December 30th, 1978, and came from Wuhan, China. He had moved to Canada in 2010 with the hopes of starting a new life here and to study computer engineering. In 2012, he was registered as an international student in an undergraduate program in the engineering and computer science faculty at Concordia University in Montreal, Quebec. Lynn had been studying in Montreal since 2011, previously attending Tyrk College, a language school, and had worked part-time as a convenience store clerk in Pointe-Saint-Charles. He moved into a Griffintown area apartment with a roommate on May 1st of 2012. Lynn, who was gay, had been at some point married to a woman, though they later divorced. In Canada, he had lived for a time with another Chinese man. Lynn had never revealed his sexual orientation to his family in China, even though they had met his boyfriend. Shortly before he was murdered, Lynn's relationship with his partner had ended because Lynn was experiencing pressure from his family to settle down and marry a woman. After breaking up with his boyfriend, Lynn had been using Grindr, which is a gay dating app, and other web applications to meet with men. Magnotta later said that they had met after Lynn had responded to his Craigslist ad proposing sex and bondage.
Wow.
Spicy. We're getting 50 Shades.
Wow, yeah. We're getting there.
Lynn was last seen on May 24th, 2012, and his friends reported getting a text from his phone at 9 p.m.
Not on May 24.
I know, right?
Oh, happy birthday, Queen Victoria.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. His boss became suspicious when he did not show up for his shift the next day. 3 of his friends went into the apartment on May 27th, and he was reported missing to police on May 29th. So he had been missing for 5 days before it was reported to police, so he had been gone for 5 days.
Wow.
Obviously, they discovered on 27th that they didn't know where he was. And I think they looked for him for a few days before reporting him missing. The last images show Justin Lin showing him alive, were taken by surveillance camera on the night of the May 2 floor. They showed Lin and Magnotta entering the apartment building where Magnotta lived.
And they would have all those receipts from Craigslist too, of them saying they'd meet up.
Yeah. So on May 25th, 2012, an 11-minute video titled "One Lunatic, One Ice Pick" was uploaded to bestgore.com, depicting a naked male tied to a bed frame being repeatedly stabbed with what appeared to be an ice pick. Later was revealed that it was a screwdriver, and with a kitchen knife, then dismembered, followed by acts of necrophilia. The perpetrator uses a knife and fork to cut off some of the flesh and gets a dog to chew on the body. During the video, the 1987 New Order song "True Faith" plays in the background, and a poster for the 1942 film Casablanca is visible on the wall. Canadian authorities obtained a more extensive version of the video and said that cannibalism may have been performed. Materials promoting the video appeared online 10 days before the murder. Appeared online 10 days before the murder took place. Several hours after killing Lynn, Magnotta booked a round-trip ticket for a flight from Montreal to Paris using a passport with his own name.
So the whole video showed him dismembering him?
Yeah, it shows him stabbing and dismembering and then cutting off flesh with a knife and a fork and feeding it to a dog.
Ew. You know what he looks like? The kid Sid from Toy Story, if he was grown up.
A little bit. I could see a little bit of that.
In some of the pictures. Sorry, it was just coming in my mind.
All good. On May 26, 2012, an attorney from Montana attempted to report the video to Toronto police, his local sheriff, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so the FBI, and to the FBI, but the report was dismissed by officials. Best Gore viewers also attempted to report the video. Police later confirmed it as authentic and identified the victim as an Asian male and as the same individual whose body parts were sent to Ottawa. At 11 a.m. on May 29th of 2012, a package containing a left foot was delivered to the national headquarters of the Conservative Party of Canada. The package was stained with blood, had a foul smell, and was marked with a red heart symbol. Another package containing a left hand was intercepted in a Canada Post processing facility addressed to the Liberal Party. I'm just glad my mom didn't handle that package.
Oh, God. Thank God.
Yeah. A janitor discovered a decomposing torso inside a suitcase left in a garbage pile in an alley behind an apartment building in the Snowdon area of Montreal. He first saw the suitcase on May 25th, but it was not picked up due to the large amount of garbage that day. After searching the scene, police recovered the human remains, bloody clothes, and papers identifying the suspect, as well as sharp and blunt objects from the back alley. Footage from the surveillance camera inside the building showed a suspect bringing numerous garbage bags outside, and the images matched the suspect who was captured on the video at the post office in Côte des Neiges. At 11:33 p.m., police searched the apartment of Magnotta was renting on DeCarey Boulevard. He had moved in 4 months prior, and his rent was paid up to June 1st. The apartment had been mostly emptied before he left. Blood was found on different items, including the mattress, fridge, table, bathtub. He also wrote this on the mirror, and I quote, If you don't like the reflection, don't look in the mirror. I don't care. And that was written in red ink on the inside of a closet in his apartment. On May 30th, 2012, it was confirmed that the body parts belonged to the same individual, later identified as Justin Lin. The suspect in the case was quickly identified as Magnotta, who had by then fled. A note was found in the package sent to the Conservative Party saying 6 body parts had been distributed and that the perpetrator would kill again. The other 3 packages also contained notes, but the contents were undisclosed by police, who cited their concerns about possible copycat crimes. Man, this is like a reoccurring theme. On June 5th, very close to my birthday.
June 5th, June 6th, June 7th. Oh my god. Geminis, man. Gemini season makes people crazy.
We the best. What can I say?
You're the best. That's when all the crimes happen. That's when all those people who are Geminis are killing Madison.
I am still not mad about being a Gemini. I'm cool. Anyways, on June 5th of 2012, a package containing a right foot was delivered to St. George's School. Another package containing a right hand was sent to Falls Creek Elementary School in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it was confirmed that both packages were sent from Montreal. So he mailed other individual body parts to schools across the country. Ew. It doesn't say whether there was like a connection to those schools that he had or he just randomly selected them. Not really entirely sure. On June 13th, 2012, the 4 limbs and the torso were matched to Lin using DNA samples from his family. On July 1st, Happy Canada Day, his head was recovered at the edge of a small lake in Montreal's Angrignon Park after police received an anonymous tip. That's when the manhunt begins. So buckle up. An arrest warrant for Magnotta was issued by the Service de Police de la Ville de Montréal, SPVM, later upgraded to a Canada-wide warrant by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, accusing him of the following crimes. 1, first-degree murder. 2, committing indignity to a dead body. 3, publishing obscene material. 4, mailing obscene, indecent, immoral, or scurrilous material. And criminally harassing Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and several unnamed members of Parliament. May 31st of 2012, Interpol issued a red notice for Magnotta at the request of the Canadian authorities, and for several days before and after his arrest, his name and photo were displayed prominently at the top of the homepage of Interpol's website. The red notice requested that Magnotta be provisionally arrested pending extradition back to Canada by any Interpol member state. So they're like, take him alive. Like, we want him alive.
And also, just for anyone who doesn't know, Interpol is an organization that helps link crimes between multiple different countries, multiple different continents. It's kind of just like basically FBI on steroids. It allows...
It's just like FBI but for the entire world,
basically. Yeah, so like if you had a case and you're like, okay, what the hell's going on? Like Interpol can say, okay, well, all the MO and everything in that crime matches something that happened in Russia or stuff like that. So it's very good to match people for international crimes. Which, if you watched like Criminal Minds past season like 10, Emily eventually becomes part of Interpol, and then you get to kind of see how Interpol kind of works. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Prior to the red notice, Magnotta booked a round-trip ticket for a flight from Montreal to Paris on May 25th, using a passport with his own name. After his arrival in France, his cell phone signal was traced to a hotel in Bagnolet, but he had left by the time police arrived. Pornographic magazines and an air sickness bag were found in the hotel room. Magnotta used a false passport with the name Kirk Trammell at the hotel. He had contacts in Paris from a previous visit in 2010, and police were following a large-framed man who had been in contact with Magnotta. Another man he stayed with for 2 nights did not realize who he was until he had left. Magnotta then boarded a Eurolines bus at the Bagnolet coach station bound for Berlin, Germany on June 4th, 2012.
Oh my goodness.
Literally this is what I'm saying.
It's literally Gemini season. People go absolutely crazy. Like, I
still defend us Geminis.
Almost every single crime that we've covered thus far, every episode has had something to do with, like, Judith Barcy was born June 6th. And
best birthday ever.
Like, and then with obviously my case last time, like everything, there was so many Geminis there, and like June, this, and Luka Magnotta, clearly he likes the month of June.
Yeah. So like, June 4th, 2012, he was apprehended by Berlin police at an internet cafe in Neukölln district while reading news stories about himself. He tried giving fake names before admitting who he was. His identity was confirmed through fingerprint evidence. He appeared in a Berlin court on June 5th of 2012. According to German officials, he did not oppose his extradition. There was sufficient evidence to keep him in custody until extradition, and he agreed to a simplified process. June 18th, 2012, he was delivered to Canadian authorities in Berlin and flown aboard a Royal Canadian Air Force CC-150 Polaris to Mirabel International Airport north of Montreal. A military transport was reported by the government to be necessary due to safety concerns with using a commercial flight and potential legal difficulties if the plane was diverted to another country. He was placed in solitary confinement at the Rivière des Prairies Detention Center. That second word is not French. Yeah. Reactions in China were highly critical, with some believing the murder was racially motivated. Some Chinese questioned public safety in Canada, as the killing was the second high-profile murder of a Chinese student there in slightly over a year. Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird called Chinese Ambassador Huansai Zhang to convey his condolences. June 4th of 2012, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper said he was pleased that the suspect was arrested and congratulated the police forces on their good work in apprehending him. Interim Liberal Party leader Bob Rae said Canadians should mourn the victim rather than in any way, shape, or form celebrate Magnotta's notoriety. 2 days later, Lynn's family arrived to at the Trudeau Airport in Montreal. The Chinese Students and Scholarship Association of Concordia University established a fund to defray expenses incurred by his family while they were in Canada, and an award was created in his honor. Candlelight vigil was held in Montreal. Magnotta was named Canadian Newsmaker of the Year by the Canadian Press, which caused controversy.
But yeah, because it almost seems like they were glorifying it, like
pretty much, yeah.
Like that's
kind of how it comes across as being like the newsmaker of the year.
It's like, oh, like he was
like I mean he did
anything of the
like
year.
If you think about it, like when you think of that year, like that's like the big thing, right? Obviously, yeah. But it's like you don't want to give him that credit. Like that's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Like even though that is what happened, maybe just don't say it.
Yeah,
because like nobody obviously wants to be reminded of that, and nobody like June Lin or whatever, Justin Lin should be more like they should have said he was the one that made headlines the most that year instead of Luka Magnotta.
Yeah,
because that's not like you don't want it. That's why a lot of people have problem with like true crime podcasts, true crime TikToks, all that stuff, because they think that, and even like documentaries and all that, because they think that they're glorify the killers, which like I personally like to do it out of awareness.
Yeah.
So like that's like my reasoning for wanting to do things. Yeah. But this just further makes people think that it glorifies everything.
Going crazy.
Yeah, she is. She's going crazy upstairs.
Yeah. Okay, so Lynn's body was cremated on July 11th, and his ashes were buried July 26th at Notre Dame des Neiges Cemetery in Montreal. On July 16th of 2013, Edmonton police charged bestgore.com owner Mark Merrick with corrupting public morals, a rarely used obscenity charge, for hosting the One Lunatic, One Ice Pick video online and not taking it down. On January 25th of 2016, Merrick changed his plea to guilty and was sentenced to a 6 months conditional sentence after a joint submission from the Crown and defense. He had to serve half of the 6 month sentence under house arrest. So,
well, I think that there shouldn't like be any public websites that allow that, period. Like anything that says like, oh, this is super gory.
Yeah, like what, like I don't even know like what would even be on a website like bestgore.com. Like what is the purpose of it anyways?
Yeah, like
so.
And to like I know that some people are just really love seeing things like that and they're just sick, but in my opinion, but why was that even allowed to be created in the first place?
Right. There's so many things right, when you think of
I can't even
websites with child pornography and stuff, why is that a thing? Yeah. Why is that even allowed to be uploaded? But
I don't understand, because I'll go on to Fall Guys and I can't even write SHIT. And they're allowed to make an allupgore.com, and there's a lot of things are on the black web now for things like that, but even when we were talking about John Venables, he had a Google Doc filled with child pornography. Yeah. How does Google not have some back way of seeing that? And it just it's so for how
I mean their case was no, I know a time where none of that stuff would have likely existed, but
that was when
this was happening.
Older. So.
Yeah, but this was happening when that stuff would have been around, but
yeah, so I don't understand.
All right, so we're gonna get to kind of the preliminary hearing in the trial. So June 19th of 2012, Magnotta appeared in court by video link, and he pled not guilty to all charges through his lawyer. On the 21st of June, he appeared in person at a high security Montreal courtroom to request trial by jury. Preliminary hearing began March 11th of 2013. The evidence presented is subject to a publication ban. His defense team requested the media and the public be barred entirely from the hearing, which was declined the next day. Justin Lin's father, Darren Lin, traveled from China to attend the hearing. March 13th, one of his lawyers resigned due to a possible conflict of interest. Expert witness testified.
Whose lawyer?
Magnotta's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did they say what that conflict of interest was?
No. Yeah. Expert witnesses testified, including a forensic pathologist, forensic toxicologist, a forensic odontologist, a bloodstain analyst, a data recovery specialist, and an internet investigations officer. The prosecution also displayed video evidence. Both Magnotta and Darren Lin physically. The prosecution also displayed video evidence. Both Magnotta and Darren Lin physically collapsed at separate times during the proceedings. April 12th, 2013, Magnotta was indicted on charges of first-degree murder, offering indignities to a human body, distributing obscene materials, using the Postal Service to distribute obscene materials, and criminal harassment. During his trial, he pleaded not guilty, admitting to acts of which he was accused of, but claiming diminished responsibility due to mental disorder. Crown Attorney Louis Boutillier made his opening statement on September 29, 2014. Quebec Superior Court Justin Guy Cornier presided over the trial, which lasted 10 weeks. On opening day, he instructed jurors that Magnotta admits the acts or the conducts underlying the crime for which he is charged. Your task will be to determine whether he committed the 5 offenses with the required state of mind for each offense. 6 tools, a pair of scissors, 2 knives, a screwdriver, an oscillating saw, and a hammer were recovered outside of his apartment and analyzed by ballistic experts Gilbert Desjardins. He said none could be definitely linked to the killing and that no skeletal marks suggested the screwdriver or scissors were used, but some were consistent with saw or knife or an X-Acto blade injuries. During the trial, defense attorney Luc Leclerc argued that Magnotta was in a psychotic state at the time of the crimes and cannot be held responsible for his actions. The Crown prosecutor...
Which is stupid, because he put an ad on Craigslist for bondage, and then he got a response, and then he obliterated him. So, how can that not be like a that can't even remotely be a psychosis thing?
Yeah, so... Not sure.
That would I can only imagine because of how to Get Away with Murder, the TV show. You hear the story from your client and you're like, oh my god, how the hell am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
It's and they're like, okay, we need to plead guilty here, and they're like, and we have to take a plea bargain.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, buddy,
good luck.
Good luck. You're putting me in a real tough position here. That's the way I see it going.
Yeah.
Because,
So, yeah. Crown prosecutor argued that the murder of Justin Lin was organized and premeditated, and that Magnotta was purposeful, mindful, ultra-organized, and ultimately responsible for his actions. Magnotta told psychiatrists who interviewed him about the night he killed Lynn that a person named Manny, who he said was an abusive client from his escort service, was there urging him to kill. It was then determined that his name and Magnotta's Trammell alias were inspired by Sharon Stone's fictional character Catherine Trammell and fiancé Manny Vasquez, both from the film Basic Instinct. Prosecutors also suggested that the black screwdriver used by Magnotta to stab Lynn had been painted silver to resemble an ice pick using in Basic Instinct's murder scenes. He chose not to testify during the trial. After a 12-week trial, which included 10 weeks of hearing testimony, the jury of 8 women and 4 men received final instructions from the judge on December 15th of 2014 and sequestered before beginning its deliberations the next day. On their 8th day of deliberation. 8 days. Wow. Like, to me, there's a pretty...
compared to my case, where the deliberation was 21 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
They returned a verdict of guilty on all charges. Magnotta will serve a mandatory life sentence and will be eligible for parole after 25 years. He was also sentenced to 19 years for other charges to be served concurrently, so at the same time. He filed an appeal for the convictions to be annulled and then new trial ordered. The appeal was filed with the Quebec Court of Appeal by his defense counsel, Luc Leclerc, citing judicial error in the jury instruction. The appeal further claimed that the verdicts are unreasonable and unsupported by the evidence and instruction, and he withdrew his appeal on February 8th of 2015.
I also just want to say, during these 8 days, the jury is not allowed contact with anybody other than jury members. So, like, during those 8 days, they're all crammed in a hotel, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to, like between sleeping, being isolated, and talking to each other for 8 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of time. And also, I find it really weird that he did all this and uploaded it and distributed it all over Canada and all that. And, in Brittany, for my case... Like, she killed one person, obviously. It was, R.I.P. Jayna. She kills this person, stabs her 331 times, but she's caught right away, gets life without parole.
Yeah.
This guy, clearly a psychotic. Like, he's definitely like a psycho for sure. He's definitely got some stuff going on. And the other thing, too, is because you said he was a schizophrenic, right?
Yeah.
And yes, like, this guy's, like, he used the name Manny from Basic Instincts, which people are like, okay, well, like, what the heck? If sometimes when you're schizophrenic, you don't have names for them. Sometimes they're numbers, sometimes they're whatever, right? Sometimes you just know them as, like, the deep voice, the whatever, right? So, like, maybe he could have associated, since he likes that movie, with this being Manny.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like, a lot of things in Canada are flawed. I don't think that this guy should be eligible for parole.
Yeah. I mean, Canada's, like, I don't think there's a thing where you can get, like, life without parole in Canada.
How soon does it say, when is he eligible for parole again?
I did not do the math on that one.
No, but what year? Or how many years did you get?
2014 and then 25 years from there. So 2019, 2039 is his earliest eligible.
That is not enough time.
No, I don't think he'll get out, though, in 2039. Usually the first few are usually denied.
Unless it's like, well, I mean, this could have been, like, wrongful conviction, whatever, but
even then, like, if they were to determine that he wasn't mentally fit, like, even if they were to be like, okay, you know what, he actually wasn't mentally fit to stand trial, then he would be ordered to a psych facility instead.
No, I know, but, like, I'm just saying, like, when usually it's not, like, they're not let out right away on parole, like, the first time around. Like, the only scenario that I see that people are getting out the first time around is, like, a wrongful conviction turnaround.
Well, and the thing is, like, based on his age, like, he will be, like, close to 70 when he's eligible to come out. Like,
okay.
So, yeah.
That helps a little bit, but
yeah.
Not enough.
All right, so we're just going to quickly go over the experts that they called in for evaluate his mental health. So Dr. Roy diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder with histrionic traits, and that was a independent doctor opinion. Dr. Paris said,
I'm gonna say called by the defense.
No, that one was an independent one. Like the first Dr. Roy was it says independent. It wasn't like he, I guess, just gave his opinion on.
Oh, like it wasn't called by anybody or anything.
His wasn't. No, I'm gonna tell you who it was called by.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know what independent meant.
Yeah,
I thought he just wasn't someone who was actually.
I'm assuming it was just he gave his opinion on it, and he wasn't called by the Crown or the defense.
Okay.
So Dr. Paris also agreed with the borderline personality disorder diagnosis, and he was called by the Crown. Dr. Chamberlain, also called by the Crown, said his diagnosis for him was antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder. Dr. Allard was called by the defense, and he diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. Dr. Watts was called by the defense. He said schizophrenia, histrionic personality disorder, and borderline personality traits, as well as paraphilia. And then Dr. Barth was called upon by the defense, and he agreed with paranoid schizophrenia.
So I just want to let people know that if people don't know what histrionic personality disorder is, it's an attention-seeking disorder where people are extremely aggravated, emotionally, physically, everything like that, if they're not getting the attention that they so desperately seek. So just want to make that known to people. And they're also considered cluster B if people know anything about cluster A and B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were getting there. That was my next thing.
Yeah, just because you were saying histrionic a lot there, and I just wanted
yeah, that was I was going to clarify right after.
Okay,
that was my next note.
Yeah, if you have any additional.
Yeah. So obviously, defense witnesses had provided evidence that he had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as a teenager. The prosecution also revealed that Magnotta had been using illegal drugs during his teenage years, which led to the symptoms that mimicked schizophrenia, and that Magnotta had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder by Crown expert Dr. Joel Paris at Jewish General Hospital in Montreal in April of 2012. Dr. Rene Roy, the forensic psychiatrist who treated him, Magnotta, at Rivière des Prairies Detention Center since November of 2012, through his preliminary hearing and right up to the murder trial, diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder with histrionic features. Dr. Chamberlain just basically, he didn't actually get to interview him, but he just basically went off the signs, and he had come up with his reasonings for that. So he also was investigated for some possible other crimes. On June 8th, 2012, the Los Angeles Police Department announced they were in contact with Montreal police to determine if Magnotta was involved in the then unsolved murder and decapitation of it says Harvey, but it's with an E. So Harvey Medlin, known as the Hollywood Sign murder, but later announced that they did not believe he was involved in the crime. The animal rights group Last Chance for Animals claimed a responsibility for posting YouTube videos linking him to the Hollywood Sign murder in an attempt to lure Magnotta into contacting them. LCA offered a $7,500 reward for information leading to his arrest while he was on the run. November 16th of 2015, Gabriel Campos Martinez was sentenced to 25 years to life for the murder. Magnotta was also investigated for possible links to the 2010 to 2017 Toronto serial homicides, although the lead was eventually abandoned for a lack of evidence. Where's the other? So there's also he kind of started his crime spree with like animals and stuff.
Oh, just about I was gonna add that in if you didn't say anything.
So I don't know where my notes for that went, but anyways, he tortured. Oh, I know where that is. That's because I handwrote some of my notes for this case.
Oh.
So I'm a mess, guys. Vanessa's like laughing at me.
And I'm sorry if you guys hear thumping in the background. My dad's putting together their gym, so we do what we can.
And I think Melissa's building something upstairs.
Yeah, she's definitely doing something.
So his early criminal activity in 2005, he was still going by his birth name. At the time, he was convicted of 1 count of impersonation and 3 counts of fraud against Sears Canada, The Brick, and 2001 audio video. He took advantage of a mentally disabled young woman by convincing her to apply for credit cards and then taking and using the cards for goods totaling $10,000 that he used like for himself. He was accused of sexually assaulting the woman, although the charge was later dropped. He pled guilty and received 9 month conditional sentence with 12 months of probation. The court noted Magnotta had significant psychiatric issues and didn't always take his meds. In 2010, he posted a YouTube video titled "One Boy, Two Kittens," in which he deliberately suffocated 2 kittens in a plastic bag with a vacuum cleaner. He later published a second video of him drowning a kitten in a bathtub, and a third video feeding a cat to a python. He never appeared in the video, so they didn't know who was publishing these videos online. In January of 2011, a private Facebook group identified Magnotta as the person in the videos. Animal rights activist group subsequently offered $5,000 reward for bringing him to justice. He was initially dubbed the Vacuum Kitten Killer by online animal activists. The internet community had reported him to the authorities, warning that after committing acts of animal cruelty, he may pose a threat to humans. Their investigation was later chronicled in the 2009 true crime docuseries Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. And then in February of 2011, Toronto police began investigating Magnotta in connection with the videos after receiving complaints from the OSPCA. They also contacted the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in Britain, the FBI, and the police in Montreal due to the suspect's extensive travel history.
Wow. I didn't know that there was animal cruelty involved, and I was like, when he said they were doing Luka Magnotta, I was just going back to when we were talking. I think it was, I don't know if it was Savannah. No, it was during the PTK episode, because he started with animal cruelty.
Yeah. So
we were like, well, it's like a really weirdly it is a very common theme that they will start with.
Yeah.
Animal cruelty.
For sure.
So this does not surprise me. Yeah. And he was still uploading disgusting videos back then.
Yeah. So, also just quickly, he was sentenced to life, but he has the possibility of getting out after 25 years. Which in Canada, when they say life, it's typically 25 years. He is imprisoned at Port Cartier Prison in Quebec. Is where he is serving his time.
Well, yeah, in Canada, life literally just means that if they aren't, they have to go to parole hearings. If they don't get accepted for parole, they'll be in there until the day they die or they go on parole. That's literally all it means.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as fulfilling your time.
Yeah, so, and, he was also sentenced to 19 years for other charges that were ordered to be served concurrently, but, in this circumstances with how gruesome this murder was and his crimes, they should have been consecutively. So as soon as his 25 years for life ends, then he starts his 19-year sentence, but they run at the same time, which I don't agree with, but that's one thing that I know Canada has been working on changing in the last few years, and there's one case that we'll talk about soon enough that I believe is the first case in Canadian history where they actually sentence someone to 3 life sentences to serve them consecutively and not concurrently. So has no possibility of parole for till after 75 years of serving time, roughly. I don't know his exact sentence. We'll get into it when we do that episode, but It's actually one that it's going to be one of my solo episodes, I believe.
This solo episode you were originally going to do today, but you need more time on
it,
so you changed it? Oh.
Yeah, so it's one that's scheduled for a while from now, but but we'll get there. But it's, I think, one of the first ones. I don't know if they ended up doing it, but they were talking about doing it. So, but he was already, I want to say in his 50s or 60s when he committed his crime, so he'll never get out of prison. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
and I actually have personal ties to that case. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Not nice, but not nice.
I know people that were directly involved in the case. Like I obviously was not, but one of my professors,
nice to know.
In college was directly involved, and was actually on the guy's kill list. So, it's pretty crazy and pretty nuts. But again, we'll cover that when we get there.
Yeah, I like the problem I have with concurrent sentencing is that, like, especially with like Luka Magnotta here, right? Like the 19 years that he got from the other crimes that he's serving concurrently, it's basically a wash. Like you're basically saying like, okay, well, like we recognize that you did it, but we're basically not like you're not serving time for it, because that's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. Like when you do it concurrently.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, well, do you have anything else?
Sure. I do not have anything else. That is everything for today.
Yeah. Like I know that like Corpse Husband, he's YouTuber / Twitch streamer / artist. Like music artist.
Yeah.
He like in one of his songs, he says Luka Magnotta in it.
Oh, yes.
And and he has such a deep voice where he goes like Luka Magnotta. And like, I'll see if I can like play it. Hold on. I'll play it on my phone. I'll play it into the mic so people can hear it. It's only 2 seconds.
Don't get us sued for copyright.
If it's less than 30 seconds, they can't sue you.
They what?
They can't sue you.
They cancel you.
They can't sue you.
Oh, I was like, they cancel you. I was like, I don't want to get canceled.
Even bothered. She said, "Kill a cat like I'm Luka Magnotta." Real.
Yeah. Kill a cat like Luka Magnotta.
Yeah, she says like kill a cat like Luka Magnotta. And it's just like, yeah. There is a case that I want to do is also in a different song, like not that song, but it's like a diss track that I eventually want to cover. I forget the name of it, but you'll know what it is because it's a sports related one probably. You'll probably know what it is.
Okay.
When we get there.
Sounds good.
But
all right.
So thank you for listening for episode 8. If you ever want to get in contact with us, you can DM us on Instagram at worstcasemacchiato, or you can email us at worstcasemacchiato@gmail.com. You can either request a case for us to cover, or you can just let us know if we missed any notes that you know about, or if you have any personal connections, or if you just want to get in contact with us to tell us your opinions. That's cool too if you want to do it on any one of those platforms. And like always, we'll see you in the next one.
And leave us a review.
Yeah, and a review, and let people know about us too. All right. Bye.